I need you to go stand by the white box and do the car sales lot wavy thing.
Alright, I'll do the car sales wavy thing. Who is asking for the car sales wavy thing? Goodness gracious.
Just enough, just enough, just enough, just enough.
Alright, this is what we're doing today. So this is an I-beam, the scrap cut-off piece. This is the piece of a front-end loader blade, or like a blade that would go onto a skid steer for grading. I had somebody reach out to me to make horns. They want me to make them a devil thing. Sorry, not kidding. This holds a bell, like a big school bell, and they wanted it to have its own custom stand. And I'm on the last bit of this because this is where this goes, like that. Okay. But these, I asked the client if he wanted me to cut these off or round off these edges, and he said he wanted it cut off to look like an arrow, which was the way I communicated it to him. And we're going to cut these off and get it ready and then finalize it, and then it'll be able to get installed. Maybe I'll get a picture from him where it's installed. That'd be really cool. But here we go. Bandsaw gap is too little, and I'm trying to work at like a slight at an angle to get the cut, but that's making the blade bend, and then when it's cutting, then it's cutting on a bend and it's like leading it to the left, this left at least. So I'm gonna have to do the other option, which is a plasma torch. Get the good glasses. Okay. If you look at this end right there, what just happened, the structural integrity of this, this is called a consumable. It can't do what it was doing. I gotta switch it out. These are the parts that are replaced that came with it. So, we're gonna, other thing you should know is that the tip of this is hot as hell. So, do not grab with bare hands. Okay. So see how it's eroded away? Okay. And then the difference in the material. What makes the plasma cutter powerful is focused energy, just like water. Water flowing down the street doesn't have a lot of power or pressure, but have that same amount of water flow through a power washer can cut through concrete and marble. And so what you do and how you do it matters a lot. So let's get back to a focus cut. Alright, what I'm doing every time I set up this is a guide. I want the cut to look straight, and so I use this as a guide, and I'm trying to make the gap so that this piece right here, this metal piece, rides the edge of this piece of metal, and where this is cutting, where the center is cutting right on my line. So that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm lightly tightening these down, and then I'm looking, if you come and look at this, like, I'm looking to where this will ride. Is that gonna ride on the line that I want? And if it is gonna ride on the line, then I tighten it all the way down and I start the cut. Things to know when you're plasma cutting is plasma cutting it isn't always, if you're too quick, it won't cut straight. It'll cut like this or it'll cut like this, depending on which way you're orientating this direction. But it is molten, you are making molten metal. So lava does tend to have a little bit of a bitchy attitude sometimes and pick its own direction. So you're trying to help it, right? A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down sometimes. So that's what this is. Other thing that can happen is when you tighten it all the way down, it can sometimes slightly move on you. So always check again. To make the electricity, you have to have a circuit. So putting this piece of metal, this ground cable, onto this metal, it makes this conduct the electricity to wherever this is touching. That's how the plasma cutter is going to work. It blew out another one. I think this was the problem the last time I messed with this machine.
Really?
Yeah. Kept doing this and eventually it shorted out in the handle and then I had to buy a whole new handle. Other thing that happens to this is that it's thin metal, and as it heats up it loses its tension. So what you have to do sometimes is kind of push this so that it's tighter. So when you slide it back on, it holds well. Messing up my hair, my luscious locks. Alright, here we go. Huh. I always love figuring out new features on something. It has this switch. It has this switch right here, right? And it says, I don't read manuals when I buy anything, but it has like this green light and then the off, right? Well, what that means is that if you can turn it to the other one if you had this attached to like a CNC machine, so it constantly would turn it on and off. Hot tamale! Hot tamale! Alright, why I use this hammer, which this hammer is amazing, by the way. I got it from a client. She was clearing out. Let's turn off that. Let's turn this off. This hammer came from a client, and
You copy?
mother truckers. I sure as shit do. Chris, you there?
I need you to go stand by the white box and do the car sales lot wavy thing.
Alright, I'll do the car sales wavy thing. Who is asking for the car sales wavy thing? Goodness gracious.
Let's see if you feel like you need them.
Need? No.
Okay.
Back to the hammer. Okay, so I was on a job and I tend to talk to everybody, right? And as I'm pulling up to this job, I'm seeing all this amazing, like, redneck engineered, like, whoever created all the stuff would fit with this aesthetic. And I get talking to this lady, you know, and she is like white collar, and we start talking, and she's talking about how her dad was a farm boy in Kansas, and he built all this stuff. And I was like, no way. So then she started showing me in the garage and showing me some of the tools, and then I looked at his tools, and I gushed over this hammer, right? Because this is a normal standard like mallet, right? And this is aluminum. This is a bar of aluminum that he put on a lathe, a metal lathe, and he put these hand grooves there, and then he flattened out this pot right here, and he hammered in his name. So can you see that? Daryl Smith. Then what he did is he took his end mill and he put a hole right through here and put a pin in to the hammer so that this mallet wouldn't fall off of this handle. Now the cool part about this is I love the way something that is used repeatedly creates its own design. So if you look at the face of the hammer, you can tell that when the guy struck things, he was right-handed, because these front mushroom out parts, right? This is curled as if it hit and swirled and bounced off that way. So he's hitting it like this over and over again on both sides. So you can tell, I don't know, can you see the like the different wear on that? You can really see it from the top. From this angle, the mushroom on this side and then the mushroom on this side, right? So if you look at the mushroom versus this side, you can tell that it had way more impact on this side of the metal than this side. So he was a right-handed creative soul. Like, he made some really cool stuff out of junk. He did a bunch of amazing things, and after I gushed over it, his daughter was like, I would love for you to have this. And so this hammer is the hammer that I always take with me when I fab or build anything, and I always think of him. So it's pretty cool. Like, it's my own Mjolnir, I guess, right? Like, if he is worthy, he can hold the hammer. So love this thing. It's cool. But pause, clap, whatever. What I'm doing right here is whenever you plasma cut, you have slag. This extra piece of material, build-up of material, is the molten metal that's left over. And when I grind off that extra metal that's sit there, it's much easier to grind off what's remained after you hammer it. So if you take this, you can get all the slag off. You don't necessarily want to hit it like flat on the face. You want to hit it like this because it's hanging on like a farmer or a snot rocket that you can't get off your nose. It's hanging on this edge, and so if you impact it at that edge, it comes off much easier. And then to make it look really nice, the last step is that I take the grinder with a flap wheel. This is basically layers of sandpaper on this flap wheel. A whole bunch of layers of sandpaper that have been glued into place. And so when it spins on this, it's like pretty gritty, like a 60 or an 80 grit sandpaper that helps take off that extra bit that's left over. Uno mas, uno mas, uno mas. I swallowed an ember. I should keep my mouth shut. That's gonna hurt. I'm gonna turn that down and see if that helps. Is that the third one? Huh?
Another one?
I know. The reason you want a plasma cutter over a torch is that the consumables are significantly cheaper, but at this rate, I don't know. I turned down the electricity for the machine. We'll see if that does anything, changes it at all. Missing something. This top piece helps you isolate the electrical current, isolate the current to only this spot. If you take off this insulator, it's no longer insulated and the electricity can arc through this side copper piece. So having the right stuff in the right places is pretty important. Just like if you don't want to have a kid, a little bit of protection goes a long way. The smile you put on your face. I wonder if the air compressor isn't powerful enough. Because like if the air isn't flowing past it fast enough, then it won't take the molten metal through. And if that's happening, then it's like creating more connection in here, giving it a chance to melt away. I mean, I am using probably like the most pitiful air compressor for this, but necessity is sometimes part of it. That's different. Woo! Holy shit! All those are still hot as hell. Woo! Okay. Okay. You know what's great about advice? You're usually the worst person to listen to your own advice. Alright, let's look at our graveyard. That's gonna look cool. What I love about this is taking the old stuff and making it into something new, like built from junk, right? Both the I-beam and this plate are reclaimed. They were destined for the landfill or go to the recycler, and we reused them. And then this old school bell has gotten the love from the owner, and he wants this custom and to make it so that it is all reused material. So if you have a project, you have something you'd like, we're based in Colorado Springs, and we can do any sort of fab. We can work within your creative style. Give us a follow, give us a shout, shoot us a message. Have a good day.